Okay, we'll get started now. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Millbridge's 2025 Meet the Candidates event. My name is Dennis Cirillo, and I proudly serve as the president of the Millbridge HOA. I'm pleased to welcome you tonight as we hear from the candidates running for our 2026 Board of Directors. I'd also like to acknowledge our Vice President, Lynn Kennedy, who will be co-moderating this event with me. Together, we'll help guide the evening and ensure that each candidate has a fair opportunity to introduce themselves to the community. We appreciate your time and attention. Let's walk through a few quick housekeeping notes. Please remain muted to avoid any background noise that may be disruptive to our candidates and our fellow residents. Tonight's session will be recorded for those unable to attend and will be available on our website, wearemillbridge.com, under the HOA tab. Candidate responses to the self-nomination form, along with any submitted biographies, are available under the 2025 Millbridge Annual Meeting and Budget Notice section. Now I'll turn it over to Lynn to continue.
Tonight, we'll be hearing from 7 candidates who are vying for one of the 5 open positions on Millbridge's 2026 Board of Directors. In order of submission, those candidates are Ryan Womble, Dale Elder, Dennis Shepard, Wesley McGee, Sila Vlachow, Hisham Hasbini, and Suzanne Dunn. Each candidate will be asked to share a bit about themselves, explain why they're interested in serving on the board, and outline what they hope to accomplish if elected. For consistency with the proxy forms and ballots, candidates will appear in alphabetical order during tonight's session. Before we begin, the Board of Directors would like to extend our sincere thanks to the members of our resident-led nominating committee for their time and dedication to this process. The committee included Michael Brooks, chairperson of the Compliance Committee, Terry Vaughn, a former nominating committee member, Joe Guzzo, a former nominating committee member, Michael Talani, a former nominating committee member, Nicole Krentz, resident and Covenants Committee member. Together, they conducted individual interviews with all 7 candidates over the course of nearly 4 hours and ultimately nominated 5 of those candidates. It's important to note that Sila Vlachow was unavailable for an interview and as a result was not nominated. We appreciate the committee's thoughtful work and commitment to a fair and thorough process.
Before we begin, I want to briefly explain the format for tonight's Meet the Candidates event. Each candidate will have up to 15 minutes to introduce themselves, share their background, and explain why they're running for the board. This is a one-way format, meaning residents will not be asking live questions during the session. In the past 5 years, we've structured it this way to ensure fairness and consistency. With a large community and multiple candidates, open Q&As can be difficult to manage equitably. We want to avoid situations where some candidates receive more attention or face more scrutiny than others. This format helps us maintain a respectful and balanced environment for everyone. That said, moderators may ask neutral, clarifying questions if needed. And of course, residents are encouraged to review the candidates' bios and self-nomination responses posted on the website and reach out directly to them if they'd like to learn more. This year's election will reestablish the HOA's regular staggered election cycle, where 4 board members are elected one year, followed by 3 the next. This structure helps maintain continuity and experience on the board by ensuring that not all seats are turned over at once. Each candidate was given the opportunity to choose the term length that they preferred, either 1 or 2 years. Based on those preferences, candidates have been grouped accordingly. You'll see 2 separate categories on the proxy or the ballot, and we ask that you review the candidate listings and follow the instructions provided to cast your vote in each group. This approach ensures a smooth transition and preserves the staggered cycle moving forward.
Here are the voting instructions to select the 2-year term candidates. You may select up to 4 candidates in this category by checking the box next to each name. Ballots with more than 4 selections will be disqualified. Candidate names appear in alphabetical order. For reference, all candidate responses to the self-nomination form are available on our website at wearemillbridge.com. Please note that an asterisk next to a candidate's name indicates that they were recommended by the nominating committee, a group of 5 homeowners who interviewed and vetted each nominee. Our candidates for 2-year terms are Suzanne Dunn, Dale Elder, Hisham Hasbini, Wesley McGee, Dennis Shepard, and Aspasia Vlahow.
First up, we'd like to welcome Suzanne Dunn. Suzanne is one of our candidates for a 2-year term on the Millbridge Board of Directors. Tonight, she'll be sharing a bit about herself, her background, and what motivates her to serve our community. Suzanne was also recommended by the nominating committee following their interview process. Suzanne, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Dennis and Lynn. And thank you to whoever's on here from the nominating committee or watching the recording. Welcome this evening, everybody. I didn't realize I was going to be kicking it off, but here we are, and that's great. So let me just start with a confession. I am one of those people who actually reads the HOA covenants before signing on the dotted line. So 13 and a half years ago, when my then husband and I were house hunting, I fell in love with a lot and a floor plan in this neighborhood called Millbridge. I sat at the kitchen table with a highlighter and a legal pad, and I went through every page of the governing documents. I wanted to know exactly what I was agreeing to, because to me, those documents aren't just paperwork. They're the common denominator that protects every single investment in the neighborhood, and they're the foundation for the cohesion and fairness that we all deserve. I've lived in 7 HOAs across 5 states. I've served on committees in 3 of them. I've seen what works, what breaks, what keeps the community humming. And Millbridge is really special to me because for many reasons, but because I got a fresh start here and I raised my 3 children here. It's the place I've lived the longest in my life, and my years here have blessed my family and me tremendously. Also, having been here for so long, I believe I have a historical perspective that many people just simply don't have. When Landover turned over Millbridge to the homeowners several years ago, I had the privilege of being the first chairperson of the Architectural Review Committee. In that role, I led an amazing team who reviewed and approved more than 800 homeowner requests. I met many neighbors. I've reviewed 800 sets of plans, had 800 opportunities to say yes when possible, or here's how when needed, and unfortunately no, sometimes when the rules left us no choice. But being the voice of the committee wasn't always easy. I made it my mission, and the committee made it our mission, to treat every neighborhood with the same standard of fairness and consistency. And whenever possible, we did look for an amenable compromise that honored the covenants while still letting homeowners make their house feel like home. That experience deepened my already strong grasp of our governing documents, and it introduced me to so many of the neighbors, wonderful, thoughtful, creative neighbors who just wanted the best for their families and for their property. So let's just talk about what I plan to do or what my goals will be as if I'm elected to the board. First, consistency. The rules apply the same way on lot 1 as they do on lot 1962. There are no favorites and there are no exceptions to that. Number 2, integrity. Every decision will stand up to scrutiny because it has to. We're stewards of something bigger than any one person. Number 3, fidelity to the governing documents. They are our contract with each other, and I'll interpret them carefully and uphold them fairly. And then number 4, communication. We must ensure that communication is clear and prevents frustration and confusion. I promise to find ways to ensure that we communicate with our broad audience in mind. I can wear many hats, and I will always keep the good of the entire community at the forefront. Now let's talk a little bit about what I bring to the table that can strengthen this board's leadership. First, relationship building and conflict resolution. My entire career revolves around solving problems for internal partners, financial advisors, and their clients. I do this on teams I didn't choose with personalities I did not pick. In a group setting, to me, disagreement isn't a nuisance. It's just data. Criticism isn't personal, it's just an invitation to improve. I don't avoid conflict, I lean into it, I listen hard, and I work until we land on a solution that moves us forward. You can't opt out of the people in your neighborhood, and so the only option is to work through whatever comes up and work through it together. Second, historical knowledge. I was in Millbridge when we had 300 homes and the developer still controlled the board. I remember the promises that were made, the amenities that were delivered. Some were on time, some were late. The blasting of the dirt in new sections and tearing out trees, the turnover of roads, and the fights we had with the town or with Union County to keep our schools together, and all the growing pains that we've experienced over the years. That memory matters when we're negotiating with vendors, reviewing reserve studies, or deciding whether a proposed amendment truly serves the community or just a vocal minority. Third, my contract expertise. My years in insurance product development taught me how contracts are drafted, how they function, and how a single ambiguous phrase can cost major headaches and thousands of dollars. Our covenants, bylaws, and policies are simply contracts. I know how to read them, how to apply them, and how to spot gaps before they become liabilities. Fourth, my financial acumen. I've spent my career in the financial industry, that and starting over with 3 kids. I live and breathe budgets, how to read them, how to build them, how to prioritize when money is tight, and how to allocate every dollar in a way that protects reserves, controls assessments, and still gets the job done. In the past, we've all seen what happens going all the way back when boards or the developer can kick the can down the road on maintenance and other things, and we won't let that happen here. Beyond my time in the ARC, I'm an active participant in our newly formed community engagement group. It has been wonderful meeting new people and searching for ways to be involved and problem solve in constructive and positive ways. I look forward to fostering this sense of community and action, and I promise to bring that same inclusive engagement to the board. Millbridge deserves a board that knows the rules cold, lives by them daily, and uses them to unite us and not divide us. We deserve a board that can read a budget as easily as a balance sheet, that can negotiate a contract without getting fleeced, and that can sit across the table from an upset homeowner and still find common ground. I'm ready to do all of that and more. I'm ready to wear whatever hat the community needs, be it mediator, historian, budget hawk, contract watchdog, or simply the neighbor who listens first and speaks second. I've spent 13 years investing in Millbridge, not just financially, but with my time, my energy, and my heart. I'm asking you to let me invest the next chapter on your board. Thank you for your trust, your attention, and hopefully your vote. I would be honored to serve on the board.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Next, we'd like to welcome Dale Elder. Dale is one of our candidates for a 2-year term on the Millbridge Board of Directors. Tonight, he'll be sharing his background, why he's interested in serving on the board, and what he hopes to contribute to our community. Dale, the floor is all yours.
I think he muted himself. So
Oh, I'll get you.
yeah, you need to unmute him from the.
There you go.
Right, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I was moving my mouse and clicked the button, so I apologize. Thank you
No
for that.
problem.
So thank you, everyone. Good evening, neighbors. My name is Dale Elder. I'm honored to appear before you as a candidate for the Millbridge HOA Board. Millbridge isn't just where I live, it's home. When my wife and I relocated to the Carolinas from Mississippi approximately 10 years ago, we were searching for a place that truly felt like ours. In January of 2021, we found that place here in Millbridge. Since then, this community has become more than a neighborhood. It's a family. I've been married to my wonderful wife for 36 years. We're blessed with 2 children and 5 amazing grandchildren, some of which live in Millbridge too. We believe in service through our church, Graceway Baptist, and organizations like St. Jude, the Salvation Army, and Charlotte Rescue Mission. That same spirit of service is what brings me here tonight. Some of the things that drew us to Millbridge were its beauty, the amenities, the well-kept common areas, the sense of pride you feel when driving through the neighborhood. Over time, we connected with neighbors and engaged in community events like a chili cook-off or block party, and as such, my passion for this neighborhood grew. I'm running because I care deeply about my neighbors and the future of Millbridge. My vision is simple: to unite and inspire our neighborhood, give residents a strong voice, and lead with transparency and heart. I want every family who enters Millbridge to feel the same sense of belonging we felt and still feel. My qualifications: professionally, I've served as Director of Field Service for Daimler Truck North America since 2004. I manage budgets, vendor relationships, complex logistics. My education is in organizational leadership with a minor in finance. All of this has equipped me to make sound, strategic decisions. I bring budgeting and vendor management expertise, ensuring dues are used effectively and fairly. I bring problem solving and negotiation skills to prioritize tasks and deliver results. And I bring clear communication and responsiveness, listening to residents, addressing concerns, and following through. Conflict resolution is part of my DNA. I approach disagreements with openness and respect, seeking common ground. These qualities are essential for a board that works for everyone. What sets me apart is the combination of business savvy and a heart for community. I know how to manage resources responsibly, but also I understand that it isn't just about numbers, it's about people. My goal is to strengthen the board's leadership by being a common sense, reliable, informed, and community-minded contributor. If elected, I will increase homeowner engagement through events and volunteer opportunities. For example, the chili cook-off and block party were each initiated by a neighbor with the goal of uniting and meeting your neighbors. These types of gatherings will be encouraged as they really helped build some long-lasting friendships we enjoy today. Ensure amenities reflect residents' priorities. My experience shows that the best decisions are those when every voice is heard. These are not the easy decisions, but often they do create the best decisions. I will build stronger neighborhood connections, like some of the connections we've made since moving here. Connections like a friendly note that our garage door was left open, or connections where a small group gathers in town for dinner or some of the great live music found in Waxhaw. And to create a culture where every homeowner feels heard and valued. As stated earlier, some of my grandchildren live here, and they enjoy a safe, exciting, and friendly community, and they deserve this, as do all families that call Millbridge home. I want to do my part to ensure this continues and grows in their future. The board works for you. Together, we can make Millbridge even better, a place where decisions reflect the needs and values of our community. I ask for your trust, I ask for your support, and I ask for your vote. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Dale.
Next, we'd like to welcome Hisham Hasbini. Hisham is a candidate for a 2-year term on the Millbridge Board of Directors. He was recommended by the nominating committee following their interview process. Tonight, he'll be sharing his background, his interest in serving on the board, and the contribution he hopes to make to the community. Hisham, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dennis. Good evening, Millbridge. I'm Hisham Hasbini. Before I begin to speak about myself, I'd like to thank and share my appreciation to the current board and the nominating committee for all the hard work they have done to date. My family and I have lived in Millbridge since 2021. I'm a husband, I'm a father of 2 wonderful kids. I'm a veteran, and my professional background is in engineering. I have previously served on an HOA board for 4 years. I started as a member at large, and then the president of the board, was elected the president of the board. Being a board member, I bring valuable experience in addressing complex community issues, collaborating with residents, and finding practical solutions. While living in Millbridge, I have volunteered to help when needed in different areas, such as repairing pool chairs, installing fencing around the aeronasium, unloading pool equipment off trucks, and attending cleaning Millbridge events. In addition, I recently stepped in to fill a vacant board seat. My goal as a board member is to build upon the strong foundation that our previous and current board has established. If elected, my focus would be on maintaining our community's existing quality of life, ensuring fiscal responsibility, and supporting initiatives to sustain our amenities. I'm running for a 2-year term, so elected or not, my family and I love this community and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Hisham.
Next, we'd like to welcome Wesley McGee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wilson McGee. Thank you to the board and to all you that are attending. Excuse my background. I'm out with some family today, but I will not miss an opportunity to present myself for the board and before those respective voters. Simply put, I'm a resident of Millbridge for the last 4 years. I, like many of the candidates here and many of the homeowners, loved the community, fell in love with it from the moment I drove across the bridge and knew I wanted to create a home here. I'm married to one wife, 22 years, and have 3 lovely children. And chose Millbridge because of its family setup and really the welcoming that I got as we drove through the neighborhood. I previously served on the board as both treasurer and vice president, and have continually remained supportive of the board and supportive of my neighbors and community. I desire to turn to a board seat because I feel like there are still things that I can offer to this community. My goal is simply to serve my neighbors. I come to those prospective voters with zero agenda other than to serve my neighbors. I also agree, and one of my main goals is to engage the community a little bit more. I believe that we have a wonderful community that could be an even more wonderful community if we created friends and neighbors and we pulled neighbors out and we all work to make Millbridge what we desire it to be. Some of us retreat them to our homes for one reason or another. I'd like to know those reasons. I like to bring that insight to our board. I like to be able to talk to neighbors, and even when there are disagreements, I like to be able to listen. That's one of the beauties of this country. We can all have difference of opinion, but you can have that opinion. Even in this community, I believe it's okay to have healthy conversation and disagreement, as long as we can remain respectful. I come to any board and anything with a team first attitude. And my previous time serving on the board, I've always been pleasant. I'm always willing to listen to others and consider all alternatives. Non-confrontational, but I'm a very honest and direct person, one that is very dependable. In addition to being dependable and being reliable, I hold a degree in computer science. I spent 20 years in technology. I served as a finance chairperson of my former church when I lived in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. As I mentioned, I also served as treasurer along this board. I have a minor in mathematics, and I believe those things serve me well when it comes to the board. I also have spent time looking at contracts. I'm familiar with many of the current vendors that serve our community. I'm familiar with the processes that go into picking those vendors, making sure those vendors are on par with what their contract says, their contractual obligations to our neighborhood. I'm also very fiscally responsible. I recognize that as a board member, I'm still a resident. I'm one of not seven in my mind. I'm one of 1,900 homes and more residents. I don't stand with opinions of my own. I seek out opinions of those that live in this community. If I'm honored to make another appearance on the board, I will remain the same person that I've always been, one that, even without a title, I volunteer with communities. Even without a title, I'm supporting my neighbors and willing to help those. Even without a title, I've been willing and supportive of the board and their needs. So I ask humbly that you all consider and that you get out and vote. I look forward to serving my neighbors and my community. And thank you all for your time on today.
Thank you, Wesley.
Thank you. Next, we'd like to welcome Dennis Shepard. Dennis is a candidate for a 2-year term on the Millbridge Board of Directors. He was recommended by the nominating committee following their interview process. Tonight, he'll be sharing his background, his reasons for running, and the contribution he hopes to make to our community. Dennis, the floor is yours.
Are you on?
You're
Can
on.
you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. First of all, thank you for everybody that's on this recording tonight. It obviously shows you care and that you're a neighbor. I'm Dennis Shepard. I'm currently on the HOA, and I've lived down here for about 4.5 years with my wife. My background is quickly, I worked for IBM for 30 years, ran a $90 million budget that I had to maintain. So I know what budgets are all about. And then after I retired from IBM, I became a councilman in Yonkers for 8 years. And that's when you're involved with voting. And on the HOA, we are involved in voting. That's why we have 7 members. I honor that vote very deeply. I disagree with people or I agree with people, but we always come unified as a group. And I have many neighbors explaining to me, well, why do we do this or why do we do this way? I welcome that, because you should question what goes on and how your money is spent. We take it very, very seriously not to ever raise that, dues. If we have to, there's always a good logical explanation to why we do that. We've had a lot of issues this year on the HOA and everything. And the other members have always been honest with me, voted accordingly, and we come out unified. That is the biggest thing that you have to understand, everything. The scuttlebutt that goes on is never good for an HOA. It's not good for a neighborhood. That's why I like to be involved. I go to the Gentleman's Coffee. I go to Thirsty Thursday. You meet your neighbors. You talk to them. You explain to them why we do what we do. That's very, very important, everything. Because if you do get a raise or we do this, pick this, over one other thing, we have to understand why we do it. The communication is key to an HOA and everything, because if I don't explain it to you or the board doesn't explain it to you, you have no idea, and then the scuttlebutt begins. But I'm always there for you. I'm always welcome to anybody to question my integrity or why I voted the way I did. I feel good to how I always voted, but like I said, some votes go my way and some votes don't go my way. And that's what it's all about. And I just want to take this opportunity. Dennis is leaving the board. I think he was an outstanding president. I really, really do. He had his heart into it, and you could tell. You could talk to somebody 10 minutes and tell him how he cared. So that's why I'm running. I'm running because I care where I live. It's a simple answer. It doesn't have to be any complicated more than that and everything. And I obviously, people that are on this tonight, you care too. I asked for your vote, and I'm hoping to meet you someday and have some good time and have a cup of coffee with each other. Dennis, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Next, we'd like to welcome Aspasia Vlachau. Aspasia, also known as Sela, is a candidate for a 2-year term on the Millbridge Board of Directors. While she was unavailable for an interview with the nominating committee and therefore not formally nominated, she has submitted her self-nomination and is participating in tonight's event. Sela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lynn. My name is Aspasia Vlachau, or Sela, like Lynn said. I'm excited to submit my nomination for the Millbridge Board of Directors. Unfortunately, I was unable to participate through the nomination committee and be present at that time due to some work commitments and a speech that I had that specific night. I have been very active and engaged as a member in our community. When we moved to the community with my husband and my two children back in 2021, I started getting involved immediately within the first couple of years by participating in the landscaping committee, and then recently actually being a member of the board for the last 2 years. I value the character, the safety, and the family-focused environment that make Millbridge such a special place to live in for me. A little bit about my background. I have studied and gone to school and graduated as a civil engineer. I particularly have worked in the local government for 15 years, where I review development plans. I ensure compliance with municipal standards. I manage projects that cost like millions of dollars, and balance the safety and the quality and the long-term sustainability of the organization. My daily works requires a lot of attention to detail, fairness, consistent communication with residents, contractors, and also local officials and the public. These experiences have prepared me to understand the community needs, how to evaluate the issues carefully, and how to make decisions based on facts and long-term impacts. Why I'm running, I've always seen myself as especially working for the public and local government, that I need to serve the public, and I always like to serve everywhere I participate. Like Wesley, I always like to volunteer and serve for things. This is one of the reasons I'm running for the board. I also believe that Millbridge deserves a strong, steady, and transparent leadership, because our neighborhood is growing, and with the growth comes the need of thoughtful planning and responsible budgeting and clear communication. This is why we need people that have a high interest in our neighborhood. I want to help ensure that the decisions are made with the best interests of all the homeowners in mind, protecting not only their property values, but also maintaining the amenities and preserving the welcoming environment that our families depend on. Some of the qualities that I will bring in are the professionalism and the fairness. I approach issues objectively, and I rely on the facts, and I always apply the standards consistently. I have a strong communication skills. I listen first. I try to stay calm during a disagreement, and I work to find solutions that respect all of the perspectives. I also have a problem-solving mindset. Because of my engineering background, I have trained to resolve issues efficiently and thoughtfully. And I also have a high commitment to the community. I care deeply about Millbridge, and I believe that serving with integrity and accountability and respect, it will go a long ways. I hope you vote for me, and I hope you continue to enjoy living in Millbridge, because this is the point of being a member in the HOA and actually participating in making this community beautiful. I also want to thank the current board of directors for the opportunity to serve with them. It has been a pleasure to serve with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sila.
That's our 6 candidates for the 2-year position. And here are the voting instructions for our 1-year term candidate. You may select one candidate in this category by marking the box next to their name. Any proxy selecting more than one candidate in this category, a 1-year term, will be deemed invalid. Lastly, we'd like to welcome Ryan Womble. As stated, Ryan is our sole candidate for a 1-year term on the Millbridge Board of Directors. He was recommended by the nominating committee following their interview process. Tonight, he'll be sharing his background, his reasons for running, and the contribution he hopes to make to our community. Ryan, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you, Dennis. Again, my name is Ryan Womble. I am currently serving a 2-year term on the Millbridge HOA board. I currently serve as the secretary. I'm a North Carolina resident since 2003, a Waxhaw resident since 2006, and then have lived in Millbridge since 2019. While I've lived in Waxhaw, I served on the HOA board and also as HOA president for the Kimberly subdivision here in Waxhaw. Helped me gain some experience, took some time off, and then 2 years ago joined the Millbridge HOA. I want to say thank you to my fellow board members. A lot of time and dedication. I think the learning curve from being on the board is probably the thing I was most surprised about. There's all this tribal knowledge and history and structure. And so it's been a great learning experience for me. And then also recognizing the amount of time and commitment that serving on the HOA board requires. With that, I think we have very big shoes to fill with Dennis Arillo leaving the board. So I also thank Dennis for his hard work and dedication. And Dennis not being on the board always scares me a little bit, but I know we'll come through. So I'm very excited to have the opportunity to work with the other candidates. I'm very happy at the progress our board has made. We are certainly not perfect. We have identified areas where we can improve. We've adjusted our processes and policies. We're a relatively new homeowners board, and so we're learning. None of us have formal training in this, so we're doing by experience. And I'm very excited with the people that I've served with as we learn and adapt and find better ways to do things. I am seeking a 1-year term because of personal and professional commitments. So I stand out a little bit from the rest of the group in that way that trying to have a bookend to my time, at least at this point on the board. Some of my areas of focus are maintaining and improving certain aspects of our neighborhood. I have a strong personal interest in sidewalk access throughout the neighborhood. I actually think it's one of our biggest assets. So it is an area of focus for me and finding ways to continually improve and ensure access throughout the neighborhood. Also, obviously, our amenities. We have a large amount of infrastructure and capital in this development. I try to look forward in that what do we have, anticipate what it's going to need. We want to maintain the level of service and quality for all of our amenities, but those amenities are going to continue to age and they are going to need more care over time. So for me, it's looking forward, trying to plan for that, finding ways that if we do an improvement or repair, how can we make that more robust so that we get more longevity out of those things. I am looking as we continue to develop our processes, opportunities to again ensure consistency across the neighborhood. Find additional, for me, it's about communication of the standards within the community. Continue to broadcast best practices. I think we've done a great job of communicating to the community. We have found new ways to communicate to the community. You have to go where the eyes are, in my opinion, and I think the official Facebook page is one of the best things that we've done. We have to communicate with people in the way that they ultimately want to spend their time and absorb information. And so as we continue to develop new ways to engage with the community and communicate where they need to focus as homeowners and what their responsibilities are as homeowners. We also live in a very large neighborhood, which presents some significant challenges relative to things like inspections and notifications. And we're continually looking for ways to improve that and again, drive consistency to protect the investment that we've all made. I've been really proud and very excited with the collaboration that we've had with the budget committee. I think we've looked at things a little differently Ultimately, the budget committee has done some great things to help us understand and plan. They're continuing to improve their budget analysis and reporting information that they give to us, which helps us make decisions when we do need to spend money. Ultimately, again, focused on more of the long term. We are getting ready to redo our reserve study, and excited for that process and the information that that will provide, and then again help us plan for longer term. We ultimately also run into unplanned expenses. Things break unexpectedly, trees fall unexpectedly, and so looking at ways for us to analyze, project, and ultimately plan for some level of cushion within our budget. And ultimately, I think the other thing that we can do a better job of, or I should say continue to improve on, is educate homeowners. When homeowners say, who do I contact for this, or who's responsible for that, I think one of the best things we can do is continually to help them understand responsibility and structure within the various groups within the neighborhood, Hawthorne management versus the board versus the committees and things like that. Ultimately help homeowners get to that information more quickly, and also give them information on understanding how are decisions being made, who's responsible for executing various scope of work and things like that. And I think people will trust a little bit more when they can understand more of how the neighborhood actually functions. With that, again, I just wanted to say thank you to my other board members, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve on the board.
Thank you, Ryan. Lynn?
I would like to explain why your vote matters. It is critically important that residents participate in this election. In order to conduct official business at the annual meeting, including certifying election results, we must meet quorum. That means a minimum number of ballots must be submitted. Your vote helps ensure the board continues to operate effectively and represent the community's interests. Even if you're only voting for one candidate, your participation counts towards quorum. So please take a moment to cast your ballot.
Before we wrap up, I'd like to provide a quick reminder. The full annual meeting notice, including the 2026 budget, the proxy form, and a 2025 versus 2026 budget comparison will be mailed to all homeowners during the week of November 17th.
The annual meeting will take place on Monday, December 9th at 7 p.m. at the Millbridge Clubhouse. We encourage all residents to attend and participate. Thank you again to our candidates, our nominating committee, and everyone who joined us tonight. Your engagement is what keeps Millbridge strong. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes our 2025 Meet the Candidates Zoom call. As Lynn stated, please make sure you vote, and thank you for attending. Good night, everybody.